Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk to you about a powerful paradox that has the ability to change your life. Dream bigger, act small. In a world where we're constantly told to go big or go home, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. The vision of a better life, a bigger goal, a massive success, it excites us, but it also paralyzes us. Why? Because we focus so much on the magnitude of the dream that we forget the true path to getting there. Dreams are meant to be big. They are meant to stretch your imagination, to pull you out of your comfort zone, to show you what's possible. If your dream doesn't scare you a little, then it's not big enough. Dream of living debt-free. Dream of building a business that impacts millions. Dream of writing a book that shifts lives. Dream of becoming the person you've always admired. But here's the secret that most people miss. You don't climb a mountain one leap, you do it one step at a time. The greatest mistake dreamers make is trying to act as big as their dreams from day one. They look at the end goal and get discouraged because they're not there yet. They want to skip the learning, the growing, the doing. But the path to your dream is built on thousands of small, consistent actions done daily, quietly, and often without applause. Success doesn't begin with a viral moment or a lottery win. It begins when you wake up 30 minutes earlier to study, when you say no to that distraction and yes to your priorities. When you write one page a day, make one call, do one more rep, say one kind word, read one chapter, save $1. These small acts may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they stack, they build, they compound, they create momentum. And momentum is where transformation begins. Dreaming bigger gives you direction. Acting small gives you traction. Let me give you an example. A man doesn't run a marathon by dreaming about the finish line. He runs it by putting on his shoes each morning and training, even when he doesn't feel like it. A writer doesn't publish a best-selling novel by fantasizing about success. She does it by sitting in front of a blank page and writing word after word. A business doesn't scale by talking. It grows by doing the unglamorous things, testing, failing, learning, adapting. Dreaming big is the first spark that lights the fire of transformation in our lives. It's the seed from which all achievement grows. Without a vision for something greater, something beyond where you are now, there's no real motivation to move forward. Big dreams pull you out of bed in the morning. Even when you're tired, they ignite that hunger inside to do more, be more, and reach further. While small goals can be practical, big dreams give your life meaning. They help you see beyond your current limitations and imagine a life that's fuller, freer, and richer than anything you've experienced before. When you dare to dream big, you're choosing to believe in possibilities that others may not see. You're saying to yourself, there's more out there for me and I'm willing to chase it. That belief in something larger than your current circumstances fuels hope, and hope is one of the most powerful emotions a human being can possess. It lifts you out of despair. It gives you a reason to fight. It helps you find the strength to keep moving, even when life gets heavy. Most people don't dream big because they're afraid of disappointment. They've been taught to play it safe, to aim low so they don't get hurt. But playing small never protected anyone. It only kept them stuck. The truth is, if you're not willing to dream big, you'll end up living someone else's small dream for you. You'll settle for a life of survival instead of reaching for a life of significance. And the tragedy is that the world needs your dream. It needs people bold enough to pursue something extraordinary. When you dream big, you're not just choosing a destination, you're defining your direction. That dream becomes your compass. It shapes your decisions, your habits, your priorities. It gives you a framework to measure your actions against. When you have a clear dream, you stop asking, what should I do today? And start asking, what can I do today that brings me closer to the dream? That shift in mindset changes everything. Let's say your dream is to build a business that impacts people's lives. That dream will influence how you spend your time. You won't waste hours scrolling on your phone when you know there's work to be done. You'll start reading more, learning more, connecting with mentors, developing ideas. Every choice you make begins to align with the larger vision. The dream becomes your filter, helping you say yes to the right things and no to the distractions. Some people worry that big dreams are unrealistic or impractical. But it's not the size of your dream that's the problem. It's the lack of a plan. Dreaming big doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you see reality as it is and still choose to believe in what could be. It means having a bold vision but backing it with grounded, disciplined action. Every invention, every movement, every breakthrough in history started with someone crazy enough to dream big. Think about it. Someone dreamed of flying before there were airplanes. Someone dreamed of connecting the world before there was the internet. Someone dreamed of going to space before rockets existed. These dreams sounded impossible at the time, but they gave direction. They challenged the norm, and because of them, the world changed. When you dream big, you also give yourself permission to grow. Big dreams demand a bigger version of you. You can't become who you need to be by staying who you are. That dream will stretch you, break you, mold you, and build you. It will force you to develop courage, discipline, patience, and resilience. And that's the beauty of a big dream. It's not just about achieving something great, it's about becoming someone great in the process. You also inspire others when you dream big. There's something magnetic about a person who believes deeply in a powerful vision. Your energy becomes contagious. Your belief creates belief in others. Whether it's your children, your team, your friends, or your audience, people are watching how you live. When they see you aiming high, refusing to settle, they start to believe that they can too. Your dream might be the permission someone else needs to dream their own. Now, dreaming big doesn't mean everything will be easy. In fact, the bigger the dream, the bigger the challenges. There will be setbacks. There will be people who don't understand your vision. There will be moments when it feels like it's never going to happen. That's why your dream must be strong enough to keep you grounded when things go wrong. It must be rooted in something meaningful, something beyond fame or money. Because when your dream is deeply connected to your values, your purpose, your soul, it becomes unshakable. The size of your dream shapes the size of your life. Small dreams lead to small lives. They keep you caged in comfort. They keep you replaying the same year over and over. But big dreams break the cycle. They call you higher. They tell you you were made for more, and that calling is worth listening to. So ask yourself today, what do you really want? Not what do people expect of you, not what's safe, not what's reasonable, but what makes your heart beat faster? What vision keeps showing up in your thoughts, refusing to go away? What kind of life would you create if you knew you couldn't fail? Don't shrink to fit the world. Expand to fit your dream. Let it be wild. Let it be bold. Let it scare you just a little. Because that fear means you're on the right path. That fear means you're about to grow. The dream you carry is not random. It was placed inside you for a reason. Trust it, nourish it, honor it, and let it lead you into the life you were born to live. Massive goals and life-changing dreams are not realized through sudden grand gestures or one-time breakthroughs. They're built slowly, quietly, and deliberately, one small action at a time. The concept may seem counterintuitive in a world that celebrates overnight success and viral fame, but real sustainable progress comes from doing the small things consistently. When you act small, you're not thinking small. You're creating a system of daily behaviors that bring your big vision to life. It's easy to get lost in the enormity of a dream. Whether you want to build a business, transform your health, write a book, or change your entire lifestyle, the sheer size of the goal can feel overwhelming. That overwhelming feeling often paralyzes people. They think they need to take a massive leap to get started, and when they can't, they freeze. But the truth is, the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. That's the power of small actions. They allow you to move forward without fear, one step at a time, in manageable, doable increments. The mistake most people make is waiting until they feel ready. They wait for the perfect moment, the ideal opportunity, or the right mood. But success doesn't wait. It rewards those who take action, especially the kind that may seem insignificant in the short term, but is absolutely critical over the long haul. For example, writing just 300 words a day may not feel like much, but over the course of a year, that's over 100,000 words a full book. Saving a few dollars a day may not seem life-changing, but over time it creates a safety net, builds discipline, and increases your financial freedom. Showing up to the gym 3 times a week might feel ordinary, but it's these exact repetitions that lead to strength, stamina, and transformation. Small actions are accessible to everyone. You don't need a lot of money, time, or talent to take them. You just need commitment and a willingness to begin. One of the most liberating truths in life is that you don't have to do it all right now. You just have to do something right now. One step, one call, one email, one paragraph, one push-up. When repeated over time, These small wins create unstoppable momentum. Momentum is magic. Once you start moving, it becomes easier to keep moving. The first step is always the hardest because it breaks inertia. But once that's done, the second step feels a bit easier, and the third even more so. Before you know it, those small actions have turned into habits, and habits are the foundation of all success. You begin to realize that greatness isn't in some distant future, it's being built in the present moment quietly, with each small task completed. Acting small also helps you avoid burnout. Many people sprint toward their goals, trying to do everything at once. They pour all their energy into a massive push, only to crash when the enthusiasm fades or results don't come fast enough. Sustainable growth doesn't come from intensity, it comes from consistency. Small, steady action ensures you can keep going even on the tough days. It allows you to stay in the game long enough to actually win it. Another beauty of small actions is that they teach you discipline. Discipline isn't born out of grand gestures, it's forged in the quiet decisions you make every day. Choosing to wake up early when you'd rather sleep in. Choosing to write even when inspiration doesn't come. Choosing to practice when no one is watching. These moments, though small, are where your character is built, and character is what sustains you when challenges arise. Moreover, small actions are powerful because they give you feedback. They show you what works and what doesn't. When you take tiny steps forward, you gain experience, learn lessons, and make adjustments. You're not afraid to fail because the stakes are low, but the insights are high. You begin to understand what resonates with your audience, what habits suit your personality, what strategies yield results. This learning is invaluable because it equips you to grow faster and smarter in the future. Think of your dream as a giant wall. You don't build the wall by trying to place all the bricks at once. You lay one brick at a time as perfectly as you can. That's how a masterpiece is built. If you show up every day and lay just one quality brick, in time you'll look up and realize that you've built something extraordinary. But skip those small actions and all you'll ever have is a pile of unused bricks. Acting small doesn't mean you're settling for less. In fact, it's the most practical and proven strategy to achieve more. It means you understand the reality of progress. You know that every journey is made step by step, and every mountain is climbed foot by foot. You don't just hope and dream, you do. You build, you move, you take responsibility. And there's a quiet confidence that comes from this approach. When you consistently take small actions toward a big dream, you stop doubting whether you'll get there. You know you will because you're already on the path. You built a rhythm. You've become someone who takes action, and that identity becomes a source of strength. You no longer measure yourself by what you haven't achieved yet, but by what you've done today. Even when obstacles arise, even when motivation fades, the habit of taking small actions keeps you grounded. It gives you something to return to, something to rely on. You stop getting derailed by emotions and instead stay anchored in your daily disciplines. And over time, the gap between where you are and where you want to be gets smaller until one day you've arrived. So don't underestimate the power of a single small act. It may feel invisible, it may go unnoticed, but it's doing the work. It's stacking the bricks. It's building the foundation. Dream big, but remember, the bridge to that dream is built one small action at a time. In the pursuit of greatness, one of the most underestimated truths is that consistency is far more powerful than intensity. We live in a world that glorifies quick wins, viral success, and dramatic transformations. We see highlight reels on social media. Someone losing 50 pounds in 3 months, building a 6-figure business overnight, or mastering a skill in record time. But what we don't see are the years of small, repetitive, unglamorous actions behind those moments. Intensity may win attention, but it's consistency that wins the game. The reason consistency is more powerful is simple. It's sustainable. Anyone can show up strong for a day. Anyone can be inspired for a moment. Intensity feels good in the beginning because it's exciting. It's fueled by adrenaline, motivation, and ambition. But what happens when that fuel runs out? What happens when life gets hard? Distractions creep in, or the results don't come as fast as expected. That's when most people quit, because they were relying on emotional highs to carry them through. But emotion fades. What doesn't fade, when built right, is the discipline of consistent effort. You think about brushing your teeth. You don't wait until your teeth are full of cavities to start brushing. You do it every day, twice a day, even though the immediate effect is minimal. Why? Because it's the accumulated result over time that protects your health. The same applies to every area of life. Your career, relationships, body, finances, and mindset. It's not what you do once that matters most, it's what you do regularly without fail. Imagine a person who decides to go to the gym for 3 hours once a month. They train hard, sweat a lot, feel exhausted, and then don't return for 30 days. Compare that with someone who goes for just 30 minutes, 5 times a week, who will see better results. The second person, every time, it's not about how hard you work on one day, it's about how often you show up. Consistency builds habits, and habits build identity. Identity is one of the most powerful forces in human behavior. When you consistently act a certain way, you begin to see yourself through that lens. If you write every day, you start to believe, I'm a writer. If you work out consistently, you think I'm a healthy person. And when your identity aligns with your goals, taking action becomes natural. You no longer need to force motivation, it becomes part of who you are. Consistency also compounds. Like money growing with interest, small actions repeated consistently yield exponential results. Reading 10 pages a day doesn't seem like much, but that's 3,650 pages a year, about 15 books. Writing 1 page a day doesn't feel like a lot, but in a year you've written a novel. Investing a little each week doesn't feel life-changing, but over decades it creates freedom. The compounding power of consistency is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Another reason consistency is so effective is that it builds resilience. When you commit to doing something regularly, especially when you don't feel like it, you develop mental strength. You train yourself to follow through regardless of emotion. This separates professionals from amateurs. Amateurs act when it's easy. Professionals act no matter what. They understand that commitment is doing what you said you'd do long after the mood you set it in has left you. Consistency brings clarity too. When you show up day after day, you learn what works and what doesn't. You refine your approach. You get feedback from real experience. You don't just consume knowledge, you apply it, and that's where transformation happens. You get better, more efficient, and more focused. And with that focus comes confidence. You stop second-guessing yourself because you've earned your progress. You've done the reps, you've put in the time. A major benefit of consistency is that it makes big goals less intimidating. When you commit to small, regular actions, your dream no longer feels impossible. It becomes a simple matter of math. If you want to master a skill and you practice it for 30 minutes a day, you know you're getting closer every single time. You're not hoping for a breakthrough, you're building one. Consistency also increases trust. In relationships, in business, and in leadership, people trust those who show up consistently, not just when it's convenient or when it benefits them, but day in and day out. Reliability is a rare and valuable trait. When people know they can count on you, they're more likely to support, follow, and believe in you. You become dependable, not just to others, but to yourself. Trusting yourself is critical. Every time you follow through on a small commitment, you send yourself a message, I keep my promises. And over time, that builds self-confidence, but the opposite is also true. When you constantly break your own commitments, when you say you'll do something but don't, you chip away at your self-trust. That's why many people struggle with confidence. It's not because they lack ability, it's because they've trained themselves not to believe their own words. The cure is consistency, proving to yourself again and again that you can be counted on. The good news is that consistency is something you control. It doesn't require talent, connections, or luck. It just requires a decision to keep showing up, to put in the work, even when it's hard, to take one more step, even when you're tired. It's not glamorous and it won't make headlines, but it's what builds greatness quietly, steadily, unshakably. So stop looking for shortcuts. Stop chasing the next big thing. Instead, pick something that matters and do it daily. Even when it's boring, especially when it's boring, because that's where the magic happens, not in the dramatic moments, but in the disciplined daily ones that no one sees. Greatness doesn't come from intensity, it comes from the quiet power of consistency. Success is not only about reaching the destination, it's about becoming the kind of person who can handle the dream you're chasing. Too often, people focus solely on the outcome, the big house, the successful business, the perfect relationship, the recognition. But dreams aren't just about achievement, they're about transformation. The process required to reach a goal is the very thing that shapes you into the version of yourself capable of holding it. Without going through that process, even if you stumble into success, you may not have the strength, wisdom, or discipline to sustain it. This is why shortcuts don't work. Even if you get lucky and find a way to skip steps, the lack of development along the way will eventually catch up with you. The process is where the real growth happens. It's where your character is built, your habits are formed, your weaknesses are exposed and strengthened. It's where you develop the mindset and maturity that the end goal will demand of you. The journey prepares you for the destination. Consider someone who dreams of leading a large team or running a successful company. On the surface, that dream sounds exciting. But leadership isn't just about making decisions or giving direction. It requires patience, emotional intelligence, communication skills, conflict resolution, and resilience. Those qualities aren't handed out with a title. They're forged through experience. You gain them by showing up consistently, learning from mistakes, and growing through challenges. If someone is handed a leadership role without going through that process, they often crumble under pressure. They haven't become the person the role requires. The same is true for financial success. Many people dream of having a lot of money, but money doesn't solve your problems. It amplifies your habits. If you're reckless with small amounts, you'll likely be reckless with large amounts. If you don't know how to manage $100, you won't suddenly become wise with $100,000. That's why so many lottery winners or sudden success stories lose everything. They never develop the mindset, discipline, or financial literacy required to sustain their wealth. The process of earning, saving, investing, and learning teaches you the values and habits that protect and multiply your money. You don't just get richer, you get wiser. This principle applies to every area of life. Want a strong, healthy body? You don't just need a good workout plan. You need to become the kind of person who honors their body daily, eats mindfully, and pushes through discomfort. That kind of transformation doesn't happen in a single workout. It happens slowly through the daily decision to show up. Each rep, each meal choice, each night of good sleep is a step in becoming that person. Eventually, the actions become part of your identity, not something you force yourself to do, but something that flows from who you've become. When you're focused on the process of becoming, setbacks no longer feel like failures. They feel like feedback, instead of seeing mistakes as reasons to quit. You begin to see them as necessary parts of your development. You recognize that every challenge is training, every disappointment is preparation. The obstacles aren't in the way, they are the way. Each one builds your endurance, your wisdom, and your strength. That's the beauty of the journey. It teaches you to value progress over perfection. You stop obsessing over the final result and start appreciating the transformation happening within you. The external changes are just a reflection of the internal growth. When you commit to the process, you become more confident, more disciplined, and more capable, not because someone gave you permission, but because you earned it. And that earned growth is something no one can take from you. It becomes part of your foundation. When the storms of life come, and they will, you won't be shaken because your roots are deep. You've weathered enough tests to know you're strong. You've shown up enough times to trust your own discipline. You've failed enough times to understand that failure isn't the end, it's just part of the path. Even more importantly, the process humbles you. It teaches you patience. It strips away entitlement. When you truly engage with the process, you stop expecting things to be easy. You stop looking for handouts. You develop grit. You understand that anything worthwhile takes time, effort, and endurance, and that humility becomes one of your greatest assets. It makes you teachable, grounded, and willing to keep learning. Becoming the person who can handle the dream also means learning to manage success when it finally comes. Many people sabotage themselves when they get close to their goal. Not because they don't want it, but because they're not emotionally prepared for it. They haven't done the inner work. They still carry self-doubt, fear, or insecurity. The dream feels too big, too foreign, too undeserved. But when you've walked the long road to get there, you arrive with confidence, not confusion. You know who you are. You've earned the right to be there. You're not overwhelmed by the dream. You're ready for it. This is why it's important not to rush the process. Don't get discouraged, because it's taking time. That time is necessary. That time is sacred. That time is where you become who you need to be. Trust that everything you're going through is preparing you. Every small step matters. Every lesson counts. The growth you're experiencing now is what will carry you through when you finally reach your goal. So instead of asking, how fast can I get there? Ask, who am I becoming along the way? Instead of obsessing over the finish line, focus on running today's lap with excellence. Build the habits. Learn the skills. Develop the mindset. Cultivate the discipline. And know that each day, with every small action, you are becoming someone who can not only reach the dream, but keep it, grow it, and inspire others with it. Your dream is not just about what you want to have, it's about who you must become. Let the process transform you. That's where the real success begins. In life, we often wait for the big moments, the promotions, the recognition, the breakthroughs. We think these milestones are what define success, but the truth is it's the small, everyday decisions that truly shape your future. The way you approach ordinary tasks, the discipline you show when no one is watching, and the commitment to your goals when the world is silent. These are the building blocks of real achievement. Faithfulness in the small things isn't just important, it's essential. How you treat the little opportunities determines whether you're ready for the big ones. We live in a world that celebrates flashy success and public applause, but the real work happens behind the scenes. The person who wins the medal didn't become a champion the day of the race. They became one in early morning training sessions and pushing through pain and choosing practice over parties. Their greatness was born in the hidden hours. What the world saw was simply the results. The same principle applies to every dream and every goal. Before you can handle the spotlight, you must prove yourself in the shadows. Faithfulness in the small teaches you integrity. It builds character. When you follow through on your commitments, even when they seem insignificant, you send a message to yourself and the world: I can be trusted. Trust is not earned by grand gestures, it's earned in the details. If you cut corners when no one is watching, those habits will eventually surface when it matters most. But if you honor the small tasks, you build a reputation for reliability, and that trust opens doors. Many people want to skip this step. They want the rewards without the responsibility. They want influence without discipline. But the truth is, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And your systems are shaped by how you manage the small. Do you show up on time, even when it's just a meeting with yourself? Do you stick to your budget, even when the amount seems too small to matter? Do you keep learning, even when no one's checking on you? These choices reveal who you really are. When you're faithful in the small, you also build momentum. Big changes rarely happen overnight. They happen gradually, one step at a time. Each small action may seem like it doesn't matter, but over time they stack. Just like one drop of water eventually fills a bucket, one small habit practiced daily transforms your life. The consistency of showing up, even when the results aren't immediate, is what separates dreamers from doers. There's a powerful quote that says, "What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while." This is the essence of faithfulness in the small. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. You don't have to get everything right every time, but you do have to keep showing up. You do have to stay committed to the process, because the process is what prepares you for the promise. Faithfulness also builds confidence. Every time you complete a small task, every time you honor a commitment, you reinforce your self-trust. You begin to believe, I'm someone who follows through. And that belief is powerful. It gives you the courage to take on bigger challenges because you've proven to yourself that you can be counted on. Confidence doesn't come from talent, it comes from keeping promises to yourself over and over again. Another gift of being faithful in the small is clarity. When you consistently engage with your craft, your mission, or your goal, you begin to understand it more deeply. You see what works and what doesn't. You refine your approach. You learn things you could never discover by reading or watching others. You learn by doing. This clarity leads to mastery, and mastery opens doors that talent alone never will. Even spiritually and emotionally, faithfulness in the small brings growth. It humbles you, it teaches patience. It forces you to find meaning in the process, not just the outcome. You begin to take pride in the effort, in the integrity of the work, not just in the applause or results. And that shift transforms you. You stop chasing recognition and you start chasing excellence. You realize that true success isn't about being seen, it's about being solid. Life constantly tests us with small things before it trusts us with big things. You say you want to lead a team. How well are you leading yourself? You want financial abundance. How are you managing what you have now? You want to be known for your talent. How often are you practicing in private? These aren't just questions of ability, they're questions of character. And character is what sustains success. The truth is, greatness isn't hidden in extraordinary circumstances. It's hidden in ordinary moments. The way you do the dishes, the way you organize your schedule, the way you respond when things don't go your way. These small moments are not obstacles to your dream. They are the training ground for it. If you treat them with honor, they will shape you into someone who's not just chasing success, but ready to receive it when it comes. It can be frustrating to stay faithful when it feels like no one is watching, when progress seems slow, or when the reward is far away. But those are the moments that count the most, because those are the moments that form your foundation. Anyone can be consistent when it's exciting, But real strength is built when it's not, when it's boring, when it's tiring, when it feels like nothing is happening. Those are the days that build champions. So don't despise the small, don't dismiss the quiet days, the routine tasks, the unseen efforts. They are shaping you, they are preparing you. The most successful, respected, and fulfilled people you admire, they all went through this. They were faithful in the small, and because of that, they were ready for more. Your dream is valid. Your vision is powerful. But it will only come to life if you're willing to be faithful where you are with what you have right now. Because when you honor the small, you prove that you're ready for the big. And when you're ready, life has a way of meeting you at your level of preparation. Keep showing up. Keep doing the work. The small is never small when it's building something great. Transformation does not begin in the spotlight. It does not happen on stages or in front of cheering crowds. True growth, the kind that changes lives and builds legacies, happens in the invisible. It's the work done in silence when no one is watching. It's the early mornings, the late nights, the long hours of practice, study, repetition, and failure. It's the discipline to keep showing up, even when no one sees your effort or applauds your progress. While the world celebrates results, it's in the quiet, hidden moments that the foundation for success is built. Most people are drawn to the idea of transformation. They want to evolve, rise, break old patterns, and become someone new. But the mistake many make is waiting for a visible breakthrough before they start. They think something external, an opportunity, recognition, or a change in circumstances will kickstart their growth. But transformation doesn't come from the outside in, it comes from the inside out. And that inner shift begins in private. It begins in the invisible. When a seed is planted in the ground, nothing is seen above the soil for a long time. But beneath the surface, a powerful process is taking place. Roots are growing deep, establishing strength and support. Without this unseen growth, the plant will never survive once it emerges into the light. The same is true for you. You must be willing to grow in the dark before you can shine in the light. You must be patient with your process, even when it feels like nothing is happening, because often the most critical growth happens when no one sees it. The invisible work includes everything that demands consistency, honesty, and discipline. Waking up early to work on your goals, saying no to distractions, staying committed to your values when it would be easier to cut corners, practicing a skill day after day, even when the improvement is barely noticeable.
There is a reason why many people never reach their full potential. They quit during the invisible phase. They get discouraged because they don't see instant results. They confuse silence with failure. But silence is not failure, it's preparation. It teaches patience because you realize that everything worth having takes time. It teaches gratitude because you begin to value the process, not just the outcome. These lessons are not learned in the spot. They are only discovered when you are face to face with the grind, the silence, and yourself. They might achieve something quickly, but they lack the foundation to maintain it. If you want your transformation to last, you must embrace the hidden work. You must fall in love with the process. You must learn to appreciate the silence. It's in the invisible that you discover your true strength, your true voice, and your true path. And eventually, the work you've done in secret will show up in public, but
these lessons are not learned in the spotlight. They are only discovered when you are face to face with the grind, the silence, and yourself. One of the greatest things about transformation in the invisible is that it makes you unstoppable. Once you've learned how to keep going without applause, you become dangerous. Because you're no longer dependent on outside validation. You work from a place of purpose, not performance. You keep moving because you believe in your vision, not because someone else approves of it. That inner conviction, built in the quiet places, is what carries you when storms come. You also become more resilient when your transformation is rooted in invisible work. It's real. It's not a facade or a performance. It's who you are.
Show up for yourself. Show up
it's real,
for
it's
your
lasting.
dream. Do the invisible
You're not
work
shaken
and
by
trust that when the time is right, everything
you
you built in silence
and that makes you
will
capable
speak
of
louder
handling
than
whatever
anything
life
you
throws
can
your way.
The world may not see
built
it yet,
strength from
but
within.
it will. If you stay consistent, if you keep showing up, if you commit to becoming one, small step at a time, the transformation will happen. And when it finally shows up in the visible, it will be undeniable. They skipped the invisible work. They wanted the fruit without growing the root.
That's why we often see people self-destruct after sudden success. They skip
it's
the
the universe giving you time to develop strength, wisdom, and endurance, so that when your moment comes,
if you want your transformation to last, you must embrace the hidden work.
The invisible is
you must
not
fall
a delay.
in love with the process.
It's part of the design.
You must learn to appreciate the silence.
Teaches you things that success
it's in the invisible
never will.
that you discover your true strength, your true voice,
because you're
and your
forced
true path.
to keep working without
and eventually
recognition.
the work you've done in secret will show up in public, but only after it has matured inside of you. The transformation happening in the invisible is what makes the visible possible.
You become
when the
dangerous
moment
because
comes,
you're no
when the
longer
opportunity
dependent on
appears,
outside validation.
the stage is
when
set,
your
or the world is
transformation is
watching,
rooted
you won't
in
have to
invisible
scramble
work,
or fake
it's
it.
real.
You'll
It's
simply
not a
rise to
fuck a
meet
day
the
or a
moment because
performance.
you've already
It's
done the
who
work.
you are.
You've already
And
become the
because
person
it's real,
who's ready for it.
it's lasting.
That's the gift of the
You're not
invisible. It
shaken
prepares
by
you for everything
criticism or
you've been
inflated
dreaming
by
of.
praise.
Don't
You're
despise
grounded
the
in your
seasons of
identity,
quiet. Don't
and
rush
that
through
makes
the
you
dark,
capable
silent
of
chapters
handling
of your
whatever
story.
life
That's where
throws
the
your
magic
way.
is.
You've built
That's where you're
strength
being
from
shaped,
within,
molded,
and that's
and
the kind of
refined.
strength that
The
endures.
world may not see
you
it
work
yet,
from a
but
place
it will.
of purpose,
If you stay consistent,
not performance.
if you keep showing
you
up,
keep
if you
moving
commit
because
to
you believe
becoming
in your
one small
vision,
step at a
not
time,
because someone
the
else approves of
transformation
it.
will happen.
That inner
And when it
conviction,
finally shows
built
up in the
quiet
visible,
places,
it will be
is what carries
undeniable.
you when
Transformation
storms come.
doesn't need
you
an
also
audience.
become more resilient.
It
Think
just
of
needs
all
your
the
effort.
people who chase success without
Show
building
up for
themselves
yourself.
in
Show
the
up for
process.
your dream.
The transformation
invisible
happening
work.
in the invisible is
And
what
trust
makes
that
the
when the
visible
time is right,
possible. Don't despise
everything
the
you've built in
seasons of
silence will
quiet.
speak louder
Don't
than
rush
anything
through the
you could
dark,
say.
silent chapters of your story. That's where the magic is. Transformation doesn't need an audience. It just needs your effort.